That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay guys, I've been getting a lot of questions asking when our live stream schedule is. It has not changed at all, okay? On Monday night, we are going live as soon as the game ends. On Thursday night, we are going live as soon as that game ends. And every other night this week, we are going live at 9 p.m. Central. So if you have any questions, I really hope to see you there. Of course, I'm going to answer as many as I can possibly do. And as always, guys, for the first 15 minutes of every single stream, I'm going to be ignoring the donation questions and only answering the general chat. So it's very important that if you can't donate, completely fine. I still want to be able to get to your question. Just make sure you come at the very beginning. That way it increases your shot at getting answered. And just make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and you have the bell on next to the subscribe button. Then you are going to be able to be notified whenever we go live. That way you can be one of the first people in the stream. Okay, but that's it. Let's get into this video and let's talk about 5 wide receivers I think we need to be targeting from the waiver wire in week 8. And let's start it off with Jalen Reagor. Now, I know y'all are probably confused on why I'm bringing up Jalen Reagor, because this has not been a name that you've heard for a very long time, but there are a few things here. One, with the instant impact we are seeing NFL rookies have all over the league, and understanding that Jalen Reagor was ranked atop of these rookies coming into the draft in 2020, I think that we can kind of put him in a class of wide receiver just based on guys hitting around him and kind of say that he's probably pretty good if he was going in this range. Obviously, that's not where the analysis ends. I think that's just a little kind of side thing that I want to add on, because I know nobody is really going to be looking at it with that lens. But what we can also say about Jalen Reagor is in week 1, before he went out from injury, he actually looked very good in this Philadelphia Eagles offense, catching a long deep ball from Carson Wentz, and on top of that, really just opening things up underneath for Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz to operate. Clearly, this offense has desperately been needing Jalen Reagor to come back to it so he can open things up, so he can make things more efficient for all the players around. And what's honestly kind of nice about the time Jalen Reagor missed is he chose a good time to do it, because the Philadelphia Eagles just got through the worst part of their schedule, a very difficult onslaught of tough defense after tough defense after tough defense. And now we are going to have them see the Dallas Cowboys multiple times throughout the rest of the year. They are going to get other appealing matchups. So please, guys, with Jalen Reagor, this is a wide receiver that I think we can confidently say has the talent. He's going to be stepping into an offense that, outside of Travis Fulgham, has nobody to give the ball to. So please make sure you have Jalen Reagor on your roster. He is currently available in about 86% of leagues. I think we see him come back either this week or the following. So please get ahead of the curve and don't be chasing him after he has that production. Now let's talk about another rookie wide receiver, because this class has looked so good. And let's talk about Brandon Aiyuk. So yes, I know with Brandon Aiyuk, he did not really put up the performance that we expected in week 6, but he comes into week 7 against the New England Patriots and really is able to put on a show. He leads this team in receiving yards. He goes for over 100 yards off of 6 receptions. I mean, just everything that you would want to see from a rookie he displays. And what's kind of weird with Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel is both of these wide receivers coming out of college kind of profiled to be the same kind of guy, and we just wanted to see how Kyle Shanahan was going to use these weapons and how he was going to implement them for Jimmy Garoppolo to be successful. And I think he kind of has done it by making Brandon Aiyuk a little bit more of the downfield wide receiver, while Deebo Samuel is kind of operating only on the line of scrimmage. It kind of tells us that Brandon Aiyuk is the more traditional player for this offense. He's going to be seeing the targets more consistently, while Deebo Samuel needs to be schemed into them. So on top of all of this, on top of understanding that Brandon Aiyuk was actually an older rookie coming into the NFL this year, so we were expecting some instant production, as he should have been a little bit more polished, other than guys like, just say, KJ Hamler, who's 20 years old coming in. We actually saw Brandon come in at, I believe, 22 or 23 years old. So I think this is not a coincidence that he's coming out here and producing very early on. I think that he is going to be a player we can expect to be a wide receiver 3 for the rest of the season. Obviously, the upside is going to be a little bit capped in an offense that wants to run the ball first and then have their primary option be George Kittle. But still impressive seeing Brandon Aiyuk go out there and have that type of production against a good New England Patriots defense. So only being rostered in about 48% of leagues, I think that you are going to be able to go and pick up Brandon Aiyuk in a good amount of them. So please, if he's on your waiver wire, go get Brandon Aiyuk. Now, our next wide receiver, someone not nearly as exciting as the first two, but we cannot ignore the production, Sterling Shepard. So Sterling Shepard is currently available in about 71% of leagues, and this is a wide receiver that is stepping into an instant role on this New York Giants offense. We all saw him on Thursday night go out there and have almost 10 receptions. Obviously, the yards per reception weren't necessarily there, but as I said, this is not an exciting wide receiver. This is a guy that runs close to the line of scrimmage. This is the guy that has targets that are highly catchable, and knowing that, I think we are going to be able to rely on him week to week because his role on that offense is not going to change. He's not going to be a Michael Gallup that is going to give you a 0 one week and a 40 the next week. I think it's going to be consistent 15 points from Sterling Shepard, and going through the bye weeks, that's going to be extremely valuable. And we have to remember that this was his first week back. Maybe we can expect Sterling Shepard to take a step forward with Daniel Jones in this offense. Obviously, we have not seen Daniel Jones have all of his weapons in this offense pretty much his entire career in New York. Hopefully, he gets that back soon. But with Sterling Shepard, I think that he is going to be a consistent wide receiver 3 for us. So please make sure, if he's on your waiver wire, go out there and get him. He's available in 71% of leagues. Now, our next wide receiver, Curtis Samuel. So Curtis Samuel was someone that actually looked very impressive in 2019 at a very young age. Yes, he's been in the NFL for a while, but he was one of these rookie wide receivers who came into the league at 20 years old. So he's a player that we expect to not necessarily start off extremely hot right away, but to progress as he goes through his career. And that's exactly what we saw from Curtis Samuel going into 2019, who was able to jump up in production. Obviously, it put him on a nice path for the rest of his career. But then we saw Robbie Anderson come in. Robbie Anderson just took away the majority of the targets in this Carolina Panthers offense, stepping in as that alpha wide receiver. Still, we're seeing Curtis Samuel come out here and show us that he has the talent, and going and putting up almost, let's say, what is this, almost 20 fantasy points, I think kind of demonstrates that he is a player we should be intrigued in, understanding that he has the talent profile, not someone that I think we can say is a consistent starter every single week. But if you're currently holding a backup quarterback and you have a player like Russell Wilson on your roster where there's no reason for you to have a backup quarterback, I think this is a situation where you can go out there and drop that just asset that's kind of being duplicated and go and get a high upside one in a Curtis Samuel, where if anything happens to DJ Moore, if anything happens to Robbie Anderson, maybe we see Curtis Samuel step up into more significant of a role. Okay, now our last wide receiver we are going to be talking about is Cole Beasley. So yes, I know Cole Beasley, another one of these not so exciting wide receivers, but a couple things about Beasley is he doesn't look like it, but he's highly, highly athletic. I mean, we're looking at this player go out there and dunk a basketball with ease, windmill dunk a basketball at like 5'10". This guy has pop. I mean, just absolutely crazy. We all remember the helmet catch he had back in Dallas. So he has the hands. And what's interesting about Cole Beasley is this is a wide receiver that stepped into a role where he was going to be able to get targets, and he got those targets and had almost like a 94% catch rate. I mean, 12 targets and 11 receptions. Just absolutely insane from Cole Beasley. This is something that I think is going to be consistent every single week. Obviously not this high of volume, but I would not be surprised if we see Cole Beasley be one of these wide receivers that gets 6 receptions every single week, brings with that about 60 yards and possibly a touchdown. And if that is the case, Cole Beasley is going to be a low-end wide receiver 3 on his floor days. And if he hits that ceiling, if he catches a touchdown, he could pop up to being a high-end wide receiver 2. And that's something that we definitely need on our roster. I'm actually surprised with how many teams have him on their roster. He's only available in 60% of leagues. Still, I mean, if that is one of your leagues, I think going through the bye weeks, you could do a lot worse than Cole Beasley. He's already had his bye, so you don't have to worry about that. I think that the ceiling here is going to be a little bit limited because we know that Cole Beasley is not this vertical threat on this offense. He's going to be running right across the line of scrimmage, just racking up yards after the catch, and he's always going to be the second option behind Stephon Diggs. So when we were looking at this player, no, it's not necessarily because of his ceiling. It's more so for his floor. In games that John Brown is out, I think we can confidently put him in our lineup. That's what I'm kind of excited. I didn't have Cole Beasley in my lineups anywhere, but I told a ton of people during the streams on Sunday to slide him in once we got news on John Brown. Very, very excited about how that ended out. But thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, please make sure you get on there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Have a great night.